Hello, everybody, and welcome to Theory of Anything, episode 46.1.
Ooh.
I don't know about you guys, but in my role of podcast, right, I do the recording, and I always have around the 5-minute mark, the 12-minute mark, and then 17-minute mark, a deep sense of dread that I forgot to press the record button.
Wow.
And that's the only job we've given you to do, and
and it's very it's always a certain time within the podcast that I get that feeling. Yeah. Well, you remember the for listeners who don't know, the Among Us game segment.
Yeah,
we did an entire game. Well, we did 3 or 4 games, and I forgot, at the end of it, I forgot to record it. So we had to do it all again.
Those were, I think, the unrecorded ones were the better ones, weren't they?
Yes.
And the conversation,
introducing everybody, explaining the game, it's everything.
Yeah, and we had a lot of people helping us with that as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. There was 9 or 10 of us, I think. That's a little bit of insight to my days on the recording.
Your world.
Yeah, my world.
Your anxieties.
Yeah. How are you guys doing?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah, I think when it comes to those sorts of those awkward situations, it's always funnier when you're not the one who's done the problem. Yeah,
I imagine if we could have seen Devon at the moment he realised what had happened that time, I bet the blood would have drained from his face. He would have just gone
I realised
from the top of his head
about
down.
5 minutes before I said anything. So I was just sitting there, thinking,
"How can I get out of this?"
Yeah, what's just happened? Wasted 10 people's time.
Oh dear me!
But that was just in the past. I just got to remember that I've actually clicked record these days. I've got it on the bottom of my screen now, so I can always see it.
Does it flash red at you or something?
There's a little red light, but it doesn't flash. So maybe that's the issue.
In most recording studios, they have on air sign, don't they? Flashing at them,
Yeah, exactly.
A bit more
don't come in. Yeah. Exactly.
I'll get you one for Christmas.
I've got something to pick up on from a few episodes ago.
Let's hear what you've got to tell us.
I meant to say talk about it previously, but I forgot. An anonymous listener recommended to me to watch the TV program / anime One Punch Man, and this is after I slated Superman and how Superman's so boring and overpowered and everything.
So I think what you're referring to, Devon, is when we read in our assignment chat, as it was, or homework as we called it then, in episode 39, we read the short story, or what was it again, Ford? It was a
graphic novel.
Graphic novel or comic?
Yeah, it's comic. Graphic novel. Novels are a lot longer.
Yeah,
right. Comic book.
We read that in episode 39, and then you've also had mention of it from the listener. Was it in episode 44?
Yeah.
When somebody challenged Devon. So what's the results of that?
Okay, so basically the challenge was, if you think that an overpowered being who's perfect can only be boring, then watch One Punch Man, as he's not boring.
And is invincible.
Well, you think that.
Oh.
He's invincible for about the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and then he gets hit and he bleeds. So I don't really know where the whole...
What's the point?
They set up the first 10 minutes in, he's so bored that he's so good that he's not come across anyone that can challenge him at all. That only lasts for 10 minutes. And then he finally comes across someone who can hit him, and he gets hurt. So, I mean, it's not the same. And he's not perfect because he's bored.
It proves your point, doesn't it?
Yeah. He has to be bored for it to be interesting.
Yeah.
Being bored isn't good, because he's almost depressed that he's in this situation that he's so there's no challenges in his life. There's no purpose. There's no development. So he's depressed and bored. So that's bad.
It's the weakness that brings the interest. So he's already bored, and our listener was also saying, "Yeah, but you shouldn't be saying that because look at One Punch Man." But you and One Punch Man are in the same boat.
Yeah,
both bored by it.
Yeah, we're both bored by it. So I'm basically One Punch Man.
Oh wow.
So whatever the listener was, an anonymous listener, was thinking, I think it was probably not making the right point. Wasn't it proving you correct?
I mean, morality-wise, he's there. And he speaks well, and everyone likes him, and that kind of thing. But still, there has to be another kind of underlying characteristic that's bad for it to be interesting. Because if he wasn't bored, then it would just be no one would watch it. And it's anime, and it's trash. So.
Oh my.
Ford doesn't like the sound of that.
No.
I can talk about that for a long time if you want.
I've never seen it.
Oh.
It doesn't stop me having a very strong opinion.
Ridiculously over the top, needlessly. Like there's this bit where there's a massive tall guy that's half of a scorpion, no, half a lobster, half a man, so his legs are a man. He's got underpants on, and then One Punch Man pulls his eye out, and his entire insides come out because it's all connected to his eye.
Ooh, that's
and
gruesome.
that lasts about 10 seconds of just watching this guy's insides come out. And it's like, why? Like,
So
it's not funny,
adult anime.
but it's not even good. It's just over the top for the sake of being over the top.
Do you know of it, Ford?
I know of it. I've only seen the first couple of episodes, so I didn't get that into it. So I wouldn't be one to defend this show, but a lot of people love it. So Devon's offending a lot of people right now.
Can I just Google it? Sorry, YouTube that, can they? I can see it.
I think it's on Netflix.
Oh, right.
That's where I saw
it.
Yeah, it's
okay.
It might be on YouTube, but I doubt it because it's like an actual TV show. So,
Well, so we just lost a listener. That's great.
No, I'm encouraging the listener to get back in touch and say what was the point you were trying to make.
I think I understand it, but I think they were also like,
Okay.
I get where you're coming from.
Well, One Punch Man himself is super powerful and super upright, but he's also got the additional character flaw of being bored.
Yeah.
So the extra thing is what you're saying Superman lacks.
Yeah. I may have only said before a character who's super powerful and super moral is boring. Whereas what I meant is a character who has nothing wrong with them at all.
Yeah, no weakness.
Is boring.
Does such a character exist then? Superman.
Apart from kryptonite. They had to throw kryptonite in there. That's just boring.
Magic. Yeah. He's vulnerable to magic.
That's never in any TV show or film or anything I've seen of Superman, so unfortunately I can't really hold you to that. No, I'm not going to read the comic. The last comic of Superman you told me to read, man, was
didn't
great.
Encourage you to do it again.
No.
Yeah.
But
okay.
that's just me. Probably spent too long talking about that, but
probably.
I wanted to address it because I forgot last time.
Consider it addressed. Well done.
And now it's time for Anything Newsfeed.
And this brings us on to our segment, Anything Newsfeed. Has anyone got anything to bring?
I have one thing.
Oh, yes?
I thought I'd just share because I found it very interesting. It's all connected to, and I am not by any means going down any kind of political tirade now, but there's lots of discussion at this time of coming out of a pandemic of some of the things that the governments have made decisions upon, and over in America, there's lots of spending going on in our country. People have been on furlough, and I think it's cost us about 350 billion pounds to keep people from businesses going bust and things like that. Our Chancellor has spent all this money on. And
it's sounding very, very political.
It is a bit political so far,
it does
isn't
sound
it?
a bit, yeah.
But it was a conversation about the numbers that are being bandied around, and sometimes you say 350 billion. Okay, that sounds a lot, but what is it? Until you think of it in this way. Okay, if we exchange those pounds for seconds, I wanted to kind of get a bit of a light bulb moment on how much £1 billion is. Okay,
you want to throw around a bit of perspective.
Give you some perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
So 1 million seconds. Okay. So if it's £1 million, it sounds like a lot of money. We'd all like £1 million, wouldn't we? 1 million seconds would take 12 days, just under 12 days. Okay.
Yes.
All right. 1 billion seconds. How long do you think 1 billion seconds? Let's have a little think. Any offers on how long 1 billion seconds?
13 days.
13 days? No. You're missing the point of this a little bit. But yeah. Any ideas? Any hazards of a guess?
Random guess, 2 years.
Okay. Devon?
I think I already know this answer.
You haven't just pulled up a calculator.
No, I haven't. This is from my brain, if I remember correctly.
Go on, then.
It's in the 70s.
70.
It's if you revert back 1 billion seconds ago would be in the 70s, 1970s.
Oh, right.
So
you're not far off. It's
50
actually
years.
1 billion seconds is 31 years.
Yeah.
So you've gone from 12 days for 1 million to 31 years for 1 billion.
Ooh, that's a big jump.
It is. Now, the American government have just approved a 1.6 trillion budget increase. So let's talk about the word trillion. How long do you think a trillion is in seconds?
It's going to be like 2,000 odd years or something like that.
Any advance on that?
I mean, Let me think.
I didn't mean to turn this into a quiz, but
Depends
it's just
what-
a hazard.
I've got something to say after you've finished. So it depends, but I'll talk about that in a second. 300 years.
300 is okay. Let me tell you then. A trillion seconds would take 31,688 years.
Okay, I'm a little bit off.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wowza.
So we've gone from 12 days for a million, 31 years for a billion, and 31,688 years for a trillion. That's a bit of a mind-blowing moment when I heard that.
I think your math is wrong.
Really?
Yes.
Hands up, it's not my maths, but it felt like it was a good source.
I think you're using the
American.
Yes. I think you're
Okay.
using the British billion instead of the American billion.
And what's wrong with that?
But, well, if you're going to use one or the other, then you've got to stick with that for both things, for a comparison.
But
For the
Brits
money
have
and for the time.
billions and trillions, can't we?
Yes, but an American billion is 1,000 million.
Yeah.
A British
Whereas
billion
ours
is a million.
Million. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're doing the seconds and years thing with a million,
Yeah.
but the cost of how much the pandemics cost, then with the American billion. So then
I was
so
more
it's off.
thinking about what it's cost us in terms of billions to keep everybody in a job, or as many people as possible in a job.
But we use the million, 1,000 million for billion now as well. The British one is obsolete, unfortunately.
It's still pretty obsolete.
Yeah, no one uses it anymore.
Oh. So I just thought that was quite a bit of a mind-blowing exercise, though, isn't it? Especially the trillion.
Yes.
Yeah.
32,000.
That's all I want to say about that. Yes. Yes, nearly 32,000 years.
It's a huge difference, isn't it? Like, because you think if someone says a billion to you and someone says a trillion to you, you don't really think about them being that different.
No.
But yeah, well.
Yeah. I'm presuming it's a trillion, a billion.
I'm assuming that's what I'd have to go onto Wikipedia.
Well, I need to do some research. We'll come back to this, folks,
Yeah,
and we'll
next
get
pickups.
some answers, shall we?
Even if you don't want us to.
Sorry, I didn't come fully prepared for that argument.
No, I don't know. I need to go onto numbers as well. Probably talk about it
That's
next
me
episode.
done. That's all I want to say. Is there anything else?
Have you guys heard about this new TV show called Jupiter Legacy out on Netflix?
No, I haven't. Do you know what you want to tell us about it?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, but it's about. It's a bit like The Boys. It's sort of a dark reality superhero thing, but apparently it's getting a lot of traction. It's quite interesting, apparently.
Is it set on Earth or on Jupiter?
On Earth.
That's a bit boring.
No.
Set in the future?
Actually, interestingly, half set in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, it flicks back and forth between the present and the past. But I thought Devon, with his counter-hero nature, might enjoy that one.
You see, I've seen clips of The Boys, and you're saying it's a bit like that. And I don't know, I'm not overly, it's not my kind of cup of tea, I suppose. I
enjoyed The Boys. It was good.
I haven't fully watched an episode, so I've just seen clips. And maybe the
I've
clips
got
that I've
really-
seen have been showed to me because they're so, like, egregious or whatever. So maybe I just need to watch an episode or two.
Very, very adult, but very, very good story. Yeah. I kind of binged that quite quickly. Yeah.
So why doesn't it appeal to you, then?
Because it feels like they're just bad guys.
Now there are some good characters in it as well.
Because I'm not for like anti-heroes or whatever Ford just said. As far as I understand what that means, I'm for realistic characters.
An anti-hero would be considered what you'd say is a realistic character. What's probably mostly in The Boys is bad guys, just villains. You know? An anti-hero is like a hero who's not very heroic per se.
Yeah,
a good guy.
I want a
who's
hero
kind of
who messes
grey.
up.
Yeah, that's an anti-hero.
The good guys in The Boys mostly are the non-superhero characters. Yeah, there is one, maybe two good character superheroes. So when the, if you like, normal humans come up against the bad superheroes, it makes for an interesting storyline.
That does sound interesting.
But the superheroes who are bad are portraying a good persona to the public, yet really they're not. Yeah.
So that does sound interesting, and it sounds that appeals to me more than a superhero type perfect guy. But so maybe I just need to give it a watch. But
yeah.
Well, there you go. Perhaps you might enjoy Jupiter Legacy.
Yeah.
I can strongly suggest you don't watch a new Sky One sci-fi drama which is called Intergalactic. I've watched 4 episodes and I won't be going back to it. I thought I needed to give it a bit of time, and it's pretty poor.
What's bad about it?
It's had a lot of publicity, and I'm just not enjoyed the characters. It's acting's bad. The design elements are good. They spent some money on it. What you see on the screen is impressive to look at, but just I don't know. And maybe the story will get better, but the acting is just atrocious.
I felt a similar way towards the sci-fi that you really like. The characters just didn't really.
Expanse.
Yeah, Expanse. The characters just didn't seem. I don't know. They didn't pop out. That they weren't different from each other.
Okay.
I just felt. I don't know. Again, I need to watch more of it to kind of dig in. Because I think I watched like 3 episodes or something. But
according to Rotten Tomatoes, The Expanse is the 10th best sci-fi TV show.
Wow.
Out of the top 100 TV sci-fi dramas.
And where does Stargate come on that?
I don't know. I can't remember. I didn't look for it. But guess what's number 1?
Star Trek. Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Right where it should be.
Yeah, right where it should be. I've compared Expanse to Battlestar Galactica in my enjoyment levels, but it's good that it's at number 10.
Yeah, but you think it should be higher?
Good. Have 100. I thought that was quite.
It is quite good for a new-ish show. It's got to be a lot of like the old classics that are loved by the community, the sci-fi community.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that brings us on to the actual main point of the show.
Main feature segment.
Finally.
Let's hand over to Ford, shall we? Sorry, I'm doing your job now.
Let's hand it over to Ford, shall we?
And now it's time for Ford's chosen subject.
Religion.
Dun, dun, dun.
A potentially touchy topic, but I think we need more controversy in this podcast.
Do you?
Yeah.
More disagreement. Yeah, is needed.
Definitely.
But we're not allowed to talk about politics, but we've never said that about religion, have we?
Good.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about something that we've been seeing a lot in Christian culture, and that I feel like it's actively pulling away from associating Christianity with the concept of religion. And what I mean by this is you hear the phrase, I don't have religion, I have a relationship. And God hates religion more than you do. And I think that comes from, it comes from a few different verses. But
okay.
I wonder where you guys came down on that to start this conversation off.
I've said that. I wholeheartedly. I'm intrigued to see where this conversation is going. I don't know much about what you've got to tell us, but I stand by that at the moment. I may change my mind in 20 minutes, but
okay.
I feel that my faith isn't a religious faith; it's a relationship-based faith, and I think I wholeheartedly support the often used trope that says that religion causes more wars than anything else in the world. If we have talked about that, haven't we? And that's factually not true.
Yeah.
I think you've brought that to our attention before, haven't you? Ford?
I think the statistic is something like 7% of all the wars had a religious motive.
But those that were around religion's motive, were those people at the roots of those disagreements and conflicts? Was it over what the Bible says, or was it over what they've added to the Bible?
Yes.
Well, even that 7%, you've got to think that. Hang on, there's lots of different religions in the world, so we're not even just talking Christianity here.
Yes, that's true. Of course,
So there you go.
Religion is a huge umbrella, isn't it? And any faith-based belief system. Yeah. But no, I think that my relationship with God is the root of my faith.
So
rather than
you just described religion as a faith-based belief system. How does that make you not religious? Do you not have a faith-based belief system?
I do, but I think the connotations that come from the word religion, I steer clear of it.
Yeah. I
think from a secular perspective, the word religion is damaging, which is probably where Ford's coming from and saying Christianity is pulling itself away from that word for very good reason, because the secular societies use it against us.
Well, yeah, I think it depends on your definition, because I think we have to fully acknowledge the fact that there are people out there that have been hurt by religion. And when you say religion, they think hypocrisy, judgment, legalism. So I guess it's more a question of what do you think religion is?
Would you not think that the same people who think that about religion would think that about the word Christian or Christianity, but we say that we're Christian.
But they would say that Christianity is religion, you know?
Yeah, so there's no difference to them, so I don't see why you would pull away from one or the other. I'm glad you brought up definitions for it, if I may just chime in. Because the secular way is belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. But the one that I'm more interested in is obviously what is said in the Bible about religion. And this is in the New Testament as well, it's in James. It says, if anyone thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless. So religion is good. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction and to keep oneself unstained from the world, which is good again. And I don't see how that can be bad if that is what the biblical definition of religion is. I want to be like that. And if that is what the secular definition of religion is, I want to be like that as well.
Good point.
I came across this when I was in Bible college, and I talked to a couple of pastors about it, and they wouldn't really give me an answer of why the church is rallying behind religion being a bad thing. Because you're trying to get the definition that they're looking for, but whether it's in secular definitions like the dictionary or biblical definitions like the Bible, it's not what they're saying it is.
Yeah, I think it's just a general conception in general culture that says that religion is just rules and pointless what do you call it,
like traditions and customs and things.
Yeah,
it's nothing that has any substance of interest, you know.
Yeah.
Which I think is why the word isn't helpful. That's my feeling. So at the root, I'll be at risk of repeating myself, I think that Christianity should be based on relationship, not on rules and customs.
Yeah, but the biblical definition of that is not rules and customs. So obviously we can say, oh yeah, I don't want to call myself religious because some people might think that I am this way, but deep down I do think I am religious because of the biblical definition. Do you think that deep down you are religious or not truly religious?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I think when that was written, that was in Romans, did you say? James, sorry. Obviously it was written to the new religion, if you like, of Christianity. And they knew what religious persecution was like. They knew what religious dogma and rules and traditions was also like.
Yep.
Coming out of the Jewish background. So the Jewish converts to Christianity would see their religion as probably free of all that, all about Jesus and very little else. They hadn't had the 2,000 odd years that we've had to add layer upon layer upon layer of additional stuff and additional prejudice that we've been able to add to our Christian faith.
Would you not argue that there was more laws in the Torah and there was more there's more like rules and regulations and control in the Old Testament?
Yeah.
That what they would associate with religion is that still, surely? Because that was a huge part of their culture even at that time, even obviously right now in Israel as well.
Yeah, but from the brand new Christian church perspective, it was very free of all that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was entering a new era, if you like, of a new evolution or revelation. Yeah, I meant like a step up, if you like.
Yes.
I'm not trying to make it. Do you know what I mean? Another development layer from going from a very rule-based faith system to being something that was quite freeing and primarily focused on the person of Jesus.
Yeah.
We and as I say, I've always said, you know, it had the wonderful experience of not being didn't have however many thousand denominations that we've got now within the Christian church, and all those extra, well, in that denomination you can do this, but in that denomination you can't do this. You know, and that's where I think the word religion for us now has become so caught up in that. Oh, it's the hypocrisy, it's the stuff you can't find in the Bible.
I think for me, when you see Jesus in the Bible, I feel like he is very religious. He went to synagogue, he kept the holy days, he would endorse the law. But when you read through it, you see him coming against the leaders, the establishment, quite a lot. But he's not coming against them for their laws and traditions and their religion. He's coming against them for their hypocrisy and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and looking down on people and stuff like that. So it's, I think, well, actually, I don't know where I was going to go with that, but if you're calling religion traditions and laws and stuff, I don't see the problem. If Jesus was like that and he was still able to love and include people and stuff like that.
But he wasn't afraid to break those rules, was he?
Mm.
He did things differently. He brought a new way of looking at
the rules that were shown in the Torah, the ones that are unarguably biblical, he didn't break, as far as I'm aware. But the ones that are just imposed through the upper class elite religious people, those he did break. So saying he couldn't talk to X, Y, and Z person because of where they lived, nationality or whatever. He did break that because that wasn't part of the Torah. That wasn't God's word at the time or at any time. But it was just man's perception of it, which obviously I agree is bad. But obviously Jesus himself said in Matthew that he came not to abolish the law of the prophets, but to fulfill them. That's right. Obviously things changed, but Jesus didn't perceive the law and the rules as bad, because obviously they were put in place by God, but to fulfill the purpose of the laws and the rules.
I feel like a lot of people use religion and works interchangeably. So for people who don't know, works in Christianity anyway is basically you have to do things in order to be accepted by God, essentially. And for most people, I feel like religion just means that. It just means doing things so that you please God. And obviously that's not what we want.
No.
It's not what we want. I've got to really think about what I'm saying. It's not what we want, but it can be argued biblically that works are a necessity for a Christian.
It's the motivation behind them, isn't it? Work is an expression of our thankfulness for what we've received.
Yeah,
we don't do those works to gain or to earn a place in God's good books.
No, of course.
If you like.
The only way to the Father is through Jesus, and nothing is going to change that. But if you love God, then you will keep His commands, obey His commands. So if you do not obey His commands, then you do not love Him, because love isn't just about how you feel; it's about works as well.
So I've often said this, but I've said this before. I find familial sort of interactions helpful to explain biblical issues. I said that the other day. Do you remember? Yeah,
I remember that.
Anyway, so I'm kind of saying like I love my wife, but I don't believe in marriage. You know, that's like saying I love Jesus, but I don't believe in religion. Do you think that's a fair parallel? I don't know.
I don't know if we're overcomplicating it, to be honest, but I think the word religion does get a hard rap. I think, it's been misused, not necessarily by the church, but because I think the reason behind why the church is perhaps distanced itself from it these days is because it wants to be relatable to those who aren't yet part of it. And as soon as you put up words like that, they become barriers. So I think if we can take that on board and try and point people to a relationship with Christ more than the rule book, that once you get that relationship with Christ, then the changes that will be required, nobody can come to faith in Christ and not be changed by it. We will have to. There will be things that we won't want to do anymore. There will be things that we shouldn't do anymore.
Belong, believe, behave. They say, don't they?
Yeah.
The 3 Bs.
By what definition does religion equate to rulebook?
I think many denominations have their own perception of that, don't they?
Yeah, but as far as I can see, that's not biblical.
No, I agree. That's why I think the word religion is a difficult word for us to be kind of...
I think we should tackle where we see the wrong definitions used for the wrong words, rather than just going with saying that word's bad and going with the definition that isn't true or biblical.
Yeah, I think in the public sphere and non-Christians, I can see how they can get that impression when they see religious people and they don't do this because of religion. They do that, and they feel like it is a rule book. But for Christians within the church to say, "Oh, religion's bad," that makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. You know?
Yeah. Which is why at the beginning I asked Dad if that's how he actually feels in himself, if he would describe himself as truly religious or not religious, or if it's just something that he would say to try and not put people off. Because there is a difference, isn't there?
I can see not saying it to put people off. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that too. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think we should tackle the issue at hand without shying away from it. But still, we should be able to be honest with what we believe ourselves as well. If you don't think yourself as religious, and you're going with the I don't know, new agey kind of definition or whatever you want to call it of religion equals works and religion equals laws, then that's fine. I just wanted to understand.
It's a good question, and you're making me thinking about it more deeply than I probably have done before. But I haven't analysed it in those terms before.
I looked for some people arguing the position from the other side of what I'm saying, and there's some pretty scathing stuff that they say about religion, and I think maybe they're taking less of a definitional view of what religion is and just looking at the acts throughout history and seeing what religion is and has been rather than what they say they are. Would you feel like religion has been a good thing or a bad thing?
Depends what you mean by religion, isn't it? You could, if
you're, it's always going to come back to that, isn't it?
Because what they would use that as could be equated to Christianity or Catholicism or whatever it is that those people identify as well. I don't know why that word religion means all the bad stuff, but the word Christianity would mean all the good stuff.
Yeah, maybe they're just trying to separate themselves in their mind, say, I'm not like those guys from the past where they've judged people and stuff. Maybe that's a mental break that they're saying, I'm not like that. I love Jesus and I care about Jesus, and that's the only thing.
And I can understand the wanting to make a distinction, because obviously the world perception of Christianity right now is that if you're anything non-conservative, or I'm going to use the word queer because that's what the new word that they want to say, then it's LGBTQ plus community. Q stands for queer.
Is that the correct phraseology?
Yeah. Then you're hated and God doesn't love you and things like that. So I understand wanting to separate yourself from that, but I think you should tackle those issues like at the forefront rather than taking a word and changing the definition of it to mean something that's not biblical. But there's a lot of work. There's a lot more work to actually tackle like the issue rather than to say I'm not X.
And I think your average non-religious person isn't going to give it that much thought.
No. I went to did my access course in Yorkshire, and this lesbian girl alongside another girl I didn't realise was a lesbian. They knew I was a Christian, and they asked me, do I think that them being homosexuals was a sin? I didn't go, oh no, I'm not religious, like God loves you, like blah blah blah. And I said, yes, I do think it's a sin, just like I think smoking is bad. I don't think you're a bad person, I think this is bad. And they completely accepted that. I don't think we should shy away from issues by just blaming a word out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we do that are also sin.
Of course. Yeah.
Getting angry is a sin. Being selfish is a sin.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really have any much more to bring. I mean, unless you
What have we learned? I don't know. Can we sum up what we've been saying so that listeners aren't sort of brain exploded going away from this? I think what you've made me think about, Devon, is that the word religion isn't just such an awful word that it can't be uttered. And maybe I am religious, but there are such things that are, say it's a good religion and bad religion. I don't know.
Depends on where you get your definition from religion.
Yeah, exactly. This is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I see so much happening in even the church denomination that I belong to and I love that it's not in the Bible.
Yeah.
And yet it entangles people and it inhibits people and it frustrates people, even vicars and leaders. And I think that it's stuff like that at that layer, that level, that is probably unhelpful.
Yeah.
And I kind of used the word religion in that man-made stuff that's we can't find evidence for in the Bible. For a Christian perspective, obviously there are lots of other religions that have their own perspectives on this word and its usage.
Yeah. A little bit that I glossed over from the scripture I read from James that I didn't really say was that obviously, well, I did say, but I didn't really go on to. It says religion that is pure and undefiled before God. So that suggests that there's an unpure or impure and defiled version of religion. So that may be what everyone's talking about, but it's like throwing the baby out of the bathwater about all religion is bad, rather than pure and undefiled religion before God is good, and we should just aspire to be like that, and bad religion is bad.
If you use phrases, yes, I'm religiously pure and undefiled, that probably just distances you even more. Yes. Unfortunately, I mean, secular people use the word religion for themselves. I say I'm down the pub every Friday night religiously.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, of course.
And it just means I'm serious about it.
Committed.
Yeah, I'm committed to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're I'm fundamentally a Man United supporter, that's a good thing. But if I'm a fundamentalist Christian, it's not seen in the same way, is it? Yeah, fundamentalist just means that it means everything to you. It's your fundamental.
But a fundamentalist Christian has a lot of bad rap. That term has a lot of bad rap, for sure.
Exactly. But should it? This is why I'm reappraising.
Depends which fundamentals you're talking about.
Yeah.
Interesting subject.
It is. We haven't had some sort of religious talk for a while, have we? So. It's nice to have these discussions.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's food for thought for other people as well. But just to kind of recap, I think we'd all agree here, when it comes to our relationships with anybody, whether it be from another religion or no religion at all, or from any other lifestyle choice, as Christians, our main focus is to love one another. That's what you've just been saying, Devon.
Yeah.
And I think you both are. So, and I think that's why I feel wholeheartedly that I want people to focus on. My focus is my relationship with Jesus, and I want other people to be able to do the same. But that doesn't override anything else. Whether it's sexual choice, preferences, or any other thing. That's the ultimate thing for me is love.
Like Devon alluded to in his. Example, it's how you say it. You got to stick to your principles in the Bible.
And I think people respect that. And if I say, actually, I do think that homosexuality is a sin because the Bible tells me so, but I still love you, and I also think I sin, and I think the Bible also points fingers at me too. Don't feel got at because we're all in some category or another. Yeah.
Can I ask, Ford, what made you think about this?
Well, like I said, I recently came across a YouTube video. There was a guy doing a spoken word. It's kind of like poetry, but he's sort of rapping to a camera.
Yeah.
And he was talking about religion and Jesus and saying how religion sucks, this, that, and the other, and Jesus is the bomb.
Is this the one that went viral? The really popular one?
I don't know. Maybe.
Why I hate religion but love Jesus or something like that.
Yeah, it's probably something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just brought to mind that I've heard that quite a lot actually, that Jesus is supremio ex limo. But hang on, I'm gonna swap that from molto bene.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus is the thing, and religion is sucky suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just heard that so much that I thought, hang on, let's talk about that.
Look into that. Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember being a part of a church that liked religion.
It's quite ironic.
Yeah. It is quite ironic, but it kind of makes you semi-afraid to ask a pastor, like, what's wrong with religion? This is what I'm reading about the Bible that says about religion. This is what the dictionary is telling me about religion. What's wrong with this? It's definitely an interesting conversation. I was excited when you said you were going to talk about it.
Thank you.
Maybe you should have asked the pastor to come on.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was very good. Thank you.
Let's set your next assignment and say toodaloo.
Well, after that very, very deep conversation about all things religious, it's time to say goodbye.
Already?
Yes. Obviously, you can get in contact with us via lots of different ways. Look down into the description in the YouTube channel if you want to do that. You can do it privately or publicly. It's up to you. Give us a like, give us a comment, all sorts. Tell us what you think. Do you like religion? Do you not like religion? Do you like One Punch Man? Go away if you do. Apart from that, I think there's not much else to say.
Yeah. Thank you for liking this podcast. I don't just mean the clicky button like, I mean for just liking it.
Yes.
Aww.
Yeah.
Thank you for suggesting things. Always like to hear back from you. So It's all Gucci, isn't it?
And of course, you'll soon be able to hear our thoughts on our assignment, which is listening to the Thriller album by Michael Jackson. So look out for that.
Yeah.
Wherever you're listening to this, it should soon be with you in the next day or 2 or 3.
Yeah. We'll see. Excellent. Do you want to say the line?
Are we ready? Let's do it then. Okay.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Until we meet around the microphone again next time.
Bye.
Bye.